son of a nutcracker!
Happy birthday!
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
All right, welcome back to the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast, recording at you live from, what, Caution County,
Louisiana,
today,
I think, yeah.
we watched Christmas Cars by John Schneider. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
This
Christmas.
is our
Yay.
Christmas morning special.
Jingle bell, jingle. I'm getting some background sound
Thank you.
effect. Ching, ching,
I hope you enjoyed our pre-Christmas special, Building Legos.
Yep.
A
was
video, if you haven't heard or seen, that's on our YouTube channel, as well as the audio only is on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get the podcast normally. And we share some Christmas stories. I build a Lego Batmobile.
Yep. You do, because I couldn't even see it.
It's okay.
Because I'm old.
So
it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. If you have the time, please take a look at it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a very fun video.
Yep.
It was kind of hard to see, but it sets the pre-Christmas ambiance. We have a tree lit up in the background. It's a red tablecloth.
Production value, or what is it?
Yeah, high production quality for our
production
$151 million studio.
Actually,
So-
and you see our hands.
You
for
do
the
see our
very first
hands and
time
some
for
of our chests and a little bit of my jaw. So
Okay.
tune in
All
for
right.
that.
That's exciting. All right.
We
Yay.
watched Christmas Cars.
Yeah,
this
we
time
certainly
around.
did watch Christmas
And
Cars.
I don't even know. Should we even wait the 10 minutes to spoil this thing?
Wow, I don't know. So here's the thing. Let's talk around it until maybe until like 5 minutes in. But the whole thing is we are going to give spoilers. Lots of spoilers.
We're basically we're going to describe the movie to you.
Yeah, we are.
So if you plan on watching it, definitely go watch it and then listen to this podcast. But if you don't want to watch it, just go ahead and listen. We're basically going to tell you exactly what the movie is.
Yep, we are.
And there's going to be no two ways about it.
Right, and so
we have very strong feelings if you
do.
can't tell already. We're coming into this one hot.
Yep.
And I don't even want to be recording this to be honest. I just
I know, and I feel the same way.
I went
Merry
to
Christmas.
Dave's Hot Chicken today.
You did.
I went to Dave's
Yeah,
Hot
how
Chicken
was that?
for lunch. It was pretty good.
Was it?
But I got a little bit of the gurgles right now.
Oh,
and so honestly,
okay.
if my
So feel a little
bowels
bit-
explode,
Okay.
it sounds more pleasurable than talking about this film. So I will be pausing the
Wow.
podcast
Okay,
to
all
go
right,
take
that's
care
fine.
of that if
All right,
that's
if you need to.
something that arises,
If you
because
need
that
to.
will be the more
What was
enjoyable
that?
experience for me.
Clucky's? Where did you go to? Clucky's Chicken?
No,
Where did you-
Dave's Hot Chicken.
Dave's
Hot Chicken. And I got
Dave's Hot Chicken.
I got light mild.
Shout out to Dave's Hot Chicken.
Shout out to Dave's Hot Chicken.
You got
I
mild?
went to light mild. Not even mild. A little spicy. It was spicy. So they have light mild.
Light mild.
And then it goes all the way up to ghost. It's like it was like fire engine red. The one that I tried was like green, and it was still kind of spicy.
That's wrong.
But I am
chicken should not be green.
What?
Chicken should not be green.
No, I mean like on the scale of
okay.
Yeah, on the scale of heat.
All right. Oh.
Okay. But yeah, I'm very, very white, so I don't have a lot of spice in my food. So the light spice was a little bit too much for me.
Totally get that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's you know what? It's 4 minutes. Let's just get into this freaking
all right,
thing.
Well, okay. Let's just first of all, let's just describe exactly what this is. Because if you don't know what this is, it's a movie called Christmas Cars. C-A-R-S, not cards with a D. Christmas Cars. And it was really fully created by John Schneider.
Written, directed, and starring.
Yes.
John Schneider, who was Bo
yes.
in the original Dukes of Hazzard TV show.
So really it is a Dukes of Hazzard type movie thing. And I'll get more into that later, but it is a Dukes of Hazzard type movie. If you're a big Dukes of Hazzard fan,
it's not a Dukes of Hazzard type movie. The General Lee is in it. Like it's like, and it's not like, oh, that's so and so's car. It's the General Lee. Like it's.
Well, let me get into some explanation because
go
I don't.
for it.
Do you remember Dukes of Hazzard? Did you ever see a Dukes
I've
of Hazzard?
never
Ever. Have you? Tell me that. Tell me that now.
Here's the thing.
Your Honor, this man has never seen. Go ahead.
I have not seen the original show. However, we had a Dukes of Hazzard video game as a kid.
We did.
For PlayStation 1.
We did. Hootin' and a hollerin'. Remember?
Was that the name of it?
Wasn't
was
it
it Dukes of Hazzard Hootin' and Hollering?
Nah, I think it was. Maybe that was a different one.
All I remember was that there was the Mean Green Machine.
Oh, okay.
In the game.
Yeah.
And you could drive the General Lee, and you would be chased by this green car, and I wanted to say Doc Hudson. That's not right.
Well,
in the weirdest cameo of 2021.
You've crossed over universes there. Wow.
Well, it's the Christmas Cars cinematic universe. It's all canon.
Okay. Wow. Okay, great.
No, Boss Hogg. Boss Hogg would always.
Boss Hogg.
I always thought he was calling people dipsticks.
Yeah.
I think in the video game he might have been calling someone a dipstick.
Yes.
But in the show and in otherwise, I think it's the other way around. It contains the swear word.
Is it really?
I think so.
On
or
the show, it was a very PG or G-rated show. Even though
wasn't Jaws rated G back in the day or PG?
I think it might have been PG, but I think it was actually. I remember I was not allowed to go to see Jaws. But yeah. But anyway, so maybe it was R because I couldn't go see it.
Okay.
I was not.
Well, I
anyway.
remember back in the day he would always say dip. I at least always thought he was saying dipstick.
Yeah.
But he's actually saying the swear word. So that
So-
was one of my coming of age moments. But anyway, go on.
Yeah,
I have
so
not
I
seen
think-
the original, and there is a 2005 remake.
Is there?
Movie, which we will get to at some point. That's why I have no information on the Dodge
Yeah.
Charger,
Well-
because this is not doing it any glory. So we'll wait for that movie.
And by the way, if you want to see this movie, that's the other thing. If you want to see it, you cannot get it anywhere except for John Schneider's actual website.
Right.
Which, will we list it or can we list it?
If it's on you. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll
Yeah.
be in the description below. I don't
Okay.
think we can add links to Spotify descriptions.
No, I was just trying to say. I mean, it's not even on here. I'm looking at the cover of the DVD case, and it's not even like on here. It's Maven Entertainment with JSS.
Well, here's
and
the other
it's
thing
not-
is that I went on YouTube right after watching it, and I
Yeah.
watched some of John Schneider's personal YouTube videos
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
And he says
Right.
that it was streaming.
Really?
So
Okay, I don't know. If
so,
you can find it
but
somewhere.
but no, you can't find it streaming anymore. So it must have
No.
streamed originally.
streamed
and
out.
It
That stream went
It
dry.
went down the stream.
That
yeah.
stream went dry.
Yeah, it dried up. So
It is. You can find it on his website. If you do some Googling or Binging, you can actually, if you do Christmas Cars and John Schneider. Now, I keep saying in my head, Rob Schneider, which would be a completely different movie.
Which is funny. I just watched a movie yesterday with him in it,
With Rob
too. I
Schneider.
watched Grown Ups.
I was going to say, it would be a movie where he turns into a girl or he turns into a car. That's what this movie would be if Rob Schneider was doing this. It would be Rob Schneider turns into a car and then he turns into the General Lee. But that's not it. It's John Schneider, who played Bo.
Who played Bo in the original Dukes of Hazzard. So let's just...
All right, so
you're better at storytelling. Tell the audience exactly what happens in the movie. Just go for it.
Wow. Okay. So basically, you have a character who is identical to John Schneider, whose name is Denver. I don't know if you caught that.
Uncle Denver.
They call him Uncle Denver. Everybody calls him Uncle Denver. It is John Schneider. I mean, that character is John Schneider.
I thought in the movie he is John Schneider. Like, it's not.
Well, they call him Denver though.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, they call it for whatever reason. Maybe
Uncle
that's his
Denver.
alias, Uncle Denver.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, this guy has a farm, of course, and he's going to lose this. What is called, I think it's called his studio, but he's going to lose this farm because he can't pay the rent. He can't pay the mortgage, and there's a balloon mortgage due. And the evil banker, oh my gosh, we'll get into this one.
Yeah, what a character.
Wow. The evil banker is telling him, no, all of the money is due at a certain time on a certain date. It's already past due, and it's going to go to a tax sale, basically, so people could just buy the property out from underneath him just for paying the taxes due. Anyway, so this character now, Denver, has to try and figure out a way to make up like lots and lots of money. I can't even. It is not even clear
It was
what
like,
the number.
$300,000?
Yeah, it was like $300,000. Okay, so he needs $300,000. So the character in the movie is trying to sell little die-cast cars of the General Lee. So the 69
Well, that's why
Chargers.
I think he plays John Schneider in the movie, because he keeps talking about how...
Why do they call him Denver then?
Well, I think that's just like a nickname of like Uncle Denver.
Uncle Denver. Maybe. I don't know.
Because then at one point he's
I
talking
think
to the die-cast car guy, and he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not your Uncle Denver. So I think it's just a nickname.
Maybe, but it's weird. Like, why doesn't anyone... And then why isn't it... No, it's not, because remember, he has a dead wife, Malden
Right.
or Maven or
Right, yeah.
Maudlin. I don't know.
Sure. Go on. Stop.
name-
Don't
her-
drag this out any longer than it has to be.
Her
Just
name-
get on with it.
Her name begins with an M, but anyway, his name begins with a D. And he uses her coffee cup because he uses a coffee cup with an M, and she uses his, so he puts his cup, which has a D on it, for Denver, and puts it
yeah.
on top of the gravestone. So I really think he goes by the name Denver in this movie.
But
Yes.
he's the Dukes of Hazzard guy because he
Yes.
signs them. Why would you
Right.
want a signed
Right.
version of...
Yes. Totally agree. I have
Okay.
no idea why
Okay.
that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
So
It-
basically, he
yeah.
goes ahead to sign the... He starts to raise money selling these die-cast cars that
Yes.
he signs.
right.
And then it comes out...
Which
there's
are little miniature
little
General
miniature
Lee.
General Lees.
Yeah.
And then it comes out, someone starts petitioning against the Confederate flag on top of the General Lee.
Yes.
So he has to recall all of them, and he's not going to make the money anymore.
Right.
But then someone which it's never explained, someone cuts the brake lines of the GeneralLee, the real General Lee that he owns.
Yeah.
So
it's just
whatever.
And the line is it's a cut.
John, I'm just going to call him John.
Call
the
him
character's
John.
name.
Call him John.
The character of John gets in the General Lee to drive around to like blow off steam. The brakes don't work. He hits a tree and the roof comes off,
Yes.
which takes the Confederate flag with it.
Yes.
So then that is made into a viral video.
Yes.
They cut the roof off of all the die-cast cars and
Yeah.
sell them that way because it's
Yes.
part of this viral video. And then basically at the end, the farm gets sold anyway.
Yes.
And then out of a good gesture, the guy who buys it lets him keep it. That's it.
Yes, that's
it.
And I'm glad that you did that a lot faster than I would. But you also have to. There's a couple things too, though, is that at some point some unknown person takes a bulldozer and actually runs over the cars. The cars are smashed. 60 of the cars are smashed. So they end up selling those, auction off those cars as authentic cars that look like the General Lee after they did stunts.
In real life,
In real
the
life.
General Lee, or in the Dukes of Hazzard show.
Right. So here's the funny part, though, is that, yes, that probably is true that a lot of the cars were all smashed up.
Yeah.
So they actually do like a montage scene of them spraying glue on the car and putting dirt on the car, like as if they're
Yeah.
like making the cars even more banged up. And they make lots of money off of these 60 cars.
Yeah, they auction one for like $2,000.
Yeah, if there's
Yeah.
one is like $1,200, I don't know, something. It's like really expensive.
Yeah.
So they end up selling all these cars, and by the end of it, they get enough money to buy the farm back. But then this other guy who really wants it for his son, who's really a kind of a snotty kid, he buys the farm,
Yeah.
and then basically just gives it back to John.
Yeah.
And says, well, I'm not going to take away your dreams because you're crying a lot. He cries a lot.
Right.
Like, I swear that one scene where they just show him for like
Yeah.
5 minutes and he's just like bawling, crying.
Yeah, so then that makes basically the whole movie
Yep.
irrelevant
That's it. Right.
because they didn't have to raise the
Done.
money anyway because
No.
the guy ended up...
That's it. You're
Yeah.
right. Because the guy was like, hey, this guy's cool. I don't want to take his farm away from him.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, that was like, so
Yeah.
what was the point? And then he has this love interest with, and so first of all, you have to understand, John Schneider is probably, in real life, probably a cool guy, probably a very nice person,
Yeah.
probably very, if you saw him on the street, great person to talk to, seems very personable and nice.
Yeah.
But,
With Peace and Love,
yes,
what
peace
the
and love.
fuck was this movie? I mean, with Peace and Love.
Peace and love throughout this whole thing, yes. We both are like, WTF,
Yeah.
to extreme. It is like, wow, what in the world did you do? So here's the reason why. Poorly written, poorly acted,
Yeah.
poor storyline.
Poorly executed.
Poorly executed. the whole entire thing was poorly done. I mean, this is
I
really
do
bad.
have one good thing to say about it, but I have a lot of notes on this.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to do your notes first or my
Well,
notes?
I'll do my take on this whole
Okay.
thing. So my take is that this was something John Schneider really wanted to do to kind of bring back the whole fandom of the Dukes of Hazzard. And so the entire movie actually runs very similar to how the episodes used to run in Dukes of Hazzard. So the episodes were usually, Dukes of Hazzard, it's Hazzard County. So he called this Caution County instead of Hazzard
which is a
County.
weird spot for copyright infringement.
Yeah,
is Hazzard
yeah.
County and not the giant orange General Lee
Right.
that is the staple and most recognizable symbol of Dukes of Hazzard.
Right. So,
Well, although, wait,
yeah.
he was just calling it the General, right?
yes, I think he did call it the General. I think he called it the
Okay.
General. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Go on.
So, again, could have tied into the General Insurance and our friend
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal sadly was not in this movie. I actually would've-
Honestly, if he showed up, I would have been like, sounds right. Sounds
I would've-
about right. I actually,
would've-
you know what? I watched
would've
a
been-
movie with him in it yesterday.
Did you really? Oh my god!
Yesterday, I watched a lot of movies.
Wow.
2 days
Okay,
ago,
yeah,
I watched a lot of movies while
yeah.
working.
Okay,
It was Scary Movie 4.
you watched. He was in Scary Movie 4.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
And then I
was
watched
he with
Grown Ups.
Dr. Phil in the beginning?
Yeah,
of it?
yeah.
With saws
And he
off his
cuts
leg or
off his
something?
leg, and
Yeah.
then he's like, wrong foot.
Right.
Dr. Phil cuts off the wrong foot. Sorry, but go on.
No, so what I was going to say is that the entire movie feels like a Dukes of Hazzard episode. It's sugary sweet. It is a bad guys come to town. There's, instead of having a bad sheriff and a bad mayor, which I think Boss Hogg in the original TV show was supposed to be the bad guy. He was the bad mayor. I think he was the mayor of Hazzard County or mayor of whatever town. Anyway, I guess he wouldn't be a mayor of a county. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what happens usually in those shows was some bad people would come into town to do bad things, right? Then Boss Hogg was either in on it or knew about it or found out about it and tried to make sure that these ne'er-do-wells actually did their scheme so that he could somehow benefit from it and make money. And then what would happen is Bo and Luke would figure out that these ne'er-do-wells were in town and they would spoil their scheme, and that would then spoil Boss Hogg's dreams of making lots of money and benefiting from doing something that was corrupt and evil and wrong. And so in the end, Bo and Luke actually save the day, save the town once again from bad people and from the bad things that Boss Hogg and Enos and Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane were doing. So same thing in this movie. They had instead of a mayor, they had the banker. They had the banker be really bad. By the way, banking does not work that way in real life.
Yeah.
There's no... In this movie, the banker is actually directly benefiting from the sale of the property of the house, of the land. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
Yeah,
believe
which
me,
you've worked
banks-
in the banking industry
Yeah.
for like 20 years.
Right. And it just and they talk about the bank being such an evil, terrible thing and bankers being such awful, terrible people. And yeah, I get it. There's some banks and some bankers that are, not so good, but oh my gosh, it's not.
Yeah.
This is not how things work. It's like saying, that astronauts eat a bowl of cereal and that's how they get to the moon. It's like that. Nothing of that makes any
Right.
sense whatsoever. So the banker is making money, and the banker even says, he actually even mugs to the camera basically and says, "Here, I'm making all this money on the land and it's all going in my pocket." And he's so over the top, like a gross, huge. I mean, this guy's like
Yeah.
a large human being. Like he is a very. I can't talk because I'm a big guy, but holy cow, this guy's huge.
Yeah.
And he's round. He's
Yeah.
like fully round, like a cartoon character. And so again, it was that whole kind of feel of Dukes of Hazzard. You got this bad guy, and then you got Bo, who's not called Bo, but his name is either Denver or John or something. And he's the good guy, and then the good guys win in the end, and it just was so bizarrely and just poorly done, though. I mean,
Yeah.
poorly written, and the voiceover narration really
Yeah,
hard to
that's-
understand. I think they chose a guy who was he actually was a songwriter and singer, great person, but he at this time in his stage in his life, very, very difficult to understand because he mumbled
the
and had such a
narrator?
low voice. I can't remember the person's name. Johnny Lee, I think is maybe Johnny Lee. Anyway,
Are you misreading General Lee?
no, it says Johnny Lee, and
Okay.
on the cover, I'm reading the cover, and the whole thing is that it's great that they included this guy. However, you couldn't understand what was going on. So the movie starts out. I literally did not understand what was going on. All you heard was, you know, and it was like, wait a minute, is that?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I can't understand this. So that is my take.
That's
I'll shut
okay.
up now because I've been
No,
this
no,
whole
no, no,
time
no,
so
no,
it's
you're
going
good.
on. But yeah,
Are you ready for my notes?
I am ready for your notes.
So my very first note. So I take notes while I watch.
yeah.
Was narration on a phone ? It sounds like it
I think you're probably right.
well,
Yeah.
honestly, what it sounds like is the voice memos app on iPhones. It's actually really, really good. I
Yeah.
do like. I
All
use
right.
it a lot.
Good. Good.
But it sounds like they got the guy, whoever
Yeah.
was the narrator,
Yeah.
gave him the script,
Yeah.
and John Schneider
Yeah.
slid the phone across the table, hit
Yeah.
record, and he just read it. That's what it sounds like
It
because
sounds like, yeah.
it does sound like it was like, well, here in Hazzard County, it's like.
yeah. Wow.
Speak
Yeah.
up! It's like I couldn't hear
It
him,
was-
and then it's also there's a dumb harmonica that comes in.
I was gonna try to find a harmonica for this episode to play. Yeah, like every 2 minutes, just like that was in the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah,
In the show, on the TV show, they always had the harmonica going. You know, Bo and Luke were about to go to the general store. Wah, 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 wah.
right.
You know,
so,
and then
okay,
that was
we're at,
like, yeah.
we're at 22
Okay,
minutes. I'm gonna
all right.
mark that down.
All right.
So I'm gonna do a narration, just add in a harmonica sound. Ready?
Good.
So this movie is about Christmas cars, and it's about the General Lee, and it's directed by John Schneider. That's the whole movie. That's all of the narration.
But it goes on.
Yeah.
That narration goes on throughout the entire movie. Talk about giving exposition, literally saying exactly what is happening.
I have more notes on that too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when the guy cuts the line, which I don't think it wasn't the brake line that he was cutting, because I've never seen a brake line like that in a car.
Wasn't it up on the master cylinder?
It was a braided hose. So I don't know what that was. Maybe it was. It just
There are steel braided brake
okay.
lines.
Well, then maybe it was. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
But steel braided brake
I
lines
take
usually,
back everything about this movie.
in my experience,
Yeah.
which to be fair is limited, but I've worked on a fair amount of cars.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
steel braided brake line goes from normally like the hard line on
Yeah.
the chassis
Yeah.
out to the caliper.
Okay.
And it is better for stopping. It adds a lot of stiffness to the pedal because there's no flex in the pipe.
Okay.
Or in the tube going out. It makes the pedal feel better. And a lot of
Okay.
performance car has steel braided brake lines.
Okay.
Up on the firewall.
Yeah, he was up
at
on the
Brake
firewall.
Master, not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's common. I don't know though.
No.
But I have thoughts on that anyway.
Yeah.
But
By the way, you want to know what car that was?
what? What?
It wasn't a 69 Charger.
What was it?
It was actually a Ford Crown Vic.
Oh, really?
I am not kidding.
Did you do the?
I did the after the car that was in the stunt, at least. The car
Right.
that was in the stunt where they chop off the roof. That was a Ford Crown Victoria.
Which I've seen that done before. I knew that people have done that.
Yeah, and they actually
That's
showed online.
so cool.
They showed online how to turn a Ford Crown Vic into a 69 Charger.
Because it shares a wheelbase, I believe.
it does.
It's a
Okay.
nearly identical wheelbase.
Yeah.
I think it was actually John Schneider did a video about it. I think it's his video
It
or
could
someone
be.
else's
It
video.
could be. Yeah. Yeah.
And basically,
I think I know our next car to work on.
yeah, that honestly that would be super sick.
Yeah, it would be. It would be
Because
fun.
then
it would be
engine
great.
parts
Yeah.
are super easy to come by because
Yeah.
the 4.0 Oh. Why am I forgetting? Is it a 4.6 liter that comes in the Crown Vic?
Probably. I don't know.
I believe it's the 4.6 liter V8.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on that? Wow, jeez. It was in the Marauder. It was in the Town Car. It was in everything. You can throw a stone anywhere in America and you'll hit a car with one.
Yes. True. So you could have a car.
I need to Google
you would
that
have a
now.
car. That's fine. You could have a car
really
that had.
Pissed off about that.
Well, I understand, and that's fine. But I thought it was very cool because I actually watched the extra footage that they include in the DVD, which was great.
Oh,
and
it's a 4.6 liter V8. All right, I'm right.
Okay.
I'm smart.
Right,
I know
so
how to
I'm
do my job.
I'm just telling you. Okay.
But yeah, so basically the 69 Charger that was used in the show is such an iconic car that it has such a what's the word I'm looking for?
Following?
A following,
yeah.
A cult following to the point where there's remanufactured parts that are pretty easily available.
Oh, really?
It's actually pretty easy to find a remanufactured fender
right.
for a 69 Charger.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people, like if you want like a, $200,000 Charger, you're not going to be using that stuff. You want all original all the time.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But it came to the point where you could just buy fenders for the 69 Charger and just essentially glue them onto a Crown Vic.
Really?
Yeah. And because it's the same wheelbase, so there's something called
glue?
You tube the front end of a car.
Oh.
So it's where you completely chop a car at the firewall. Literally just chop it off. So the firewall is the only thing that's left to the rest of the car back. And then you weld a tubed frame all the way around the front.
Oh. Okay.
In order to, like, a lot of drift people do it.
Okay.
And then they just, like, 2 bolts on either fender to hold it on because they get smashed up so much.
Oh.
Zip it off, zip a new fender on, and you're good to go.
Okay.
So I don't know if they tubed the front end of those Crown Vics.
Could have. I don't know.
But then you can weld on a tube as long as you want. You can make the front end 30 feet long if you wanted to.
True. Yeah.
But it actually it makes sense, and that's really, really cool.
Yep. I thought it was really neat when they did some like behind the scenes stuff. Which
I would absolutely. I remember seeing that video. The ones that because they did I believe they did a Dukes of Hazzard live show where they traveled across the country and would jump the generally in front of audiences.
No.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Wow.
Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but all the jumps that they would do were Crown Vics.
Okay.
And so if they had an engine malfunction in the middle of Oklahoma, they went to the Oklahoma O'Reillys down the street. They had head gaskets, they had exhaust, they had everything. Because those 4.6 liters were put into everything. Like I said, they're a Mustang engine, they're a Crown Vic engine, Lincoln Town Car, which was all of our limousines here in the U.S.
Yeah, okay.
Unless it was like a West Coast Customs custom one. I saw a stretched Hummer the other day.
I knew the Crown Vic was big, but not that big. I mean, it was like every police car,
every taxi
cab,
every airport shuttle.
Yeah,
and it's a Panther platform vehicle, so it shares a platform with the Lincoln Town Car, and the Mercury Grand Marquis, and the Mercury Marauder.
Jeez. So
plus that engine was put into the Ford Explorer of the same era.
Really? Okay.
So I mean, this engine is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It's like the 4L60E of engines. The 4L60E is the automatic transmission from GM in the 90s, which they put into literally everything.
Okay.
Throw a rock at a 90s not 90s Japanese, a 90s GM car, and it's going to have a 4L60E in it.
Huh.
Or if it was a Camaro, it was the 4L80E, which is just heavier duty, quote unquote.
Well, so it makes a lot of sense that they did that because, I mean, it's...
For parts availability. Actually, you know what? Yeah. I just had someone email me from Finland, and they said, hey, I'm looking to import a Crown Victoria to Finland, and I was wondering if there's one in your area that you could inspect for me and then bring it to the port. And I was like, that's not really what I do, but, if they're like, I'll gladly pay you.
All right, okay. Fine, but yeah. So,
but anyway, very, very cool that in the movie it's actually a stunt.
Yeah,
generally.
I thought it was really cool that they turned a Crown Vic because the guy, he says, John Schneider says to the guy working on the car, hey, this isn't a 69 Charger, is it? And the guy goes, no, look at the steering wheel. And on the steering wheel, it says Ford, and Schneider makes the joke, found on road dead, Ford, Ford.
Oh, yeah.
So he makes that joke of, oh, it's a Ford, and he
I
goes,
missed that scene. I
yeah,
must have
well,
zoned out.
it was in the no, it was in the extras.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in the
okay.
extras.
Okay.
So then
that makes sense. Okay.
because that's how much I love this movie. I went and looked
Oh,
at the
God,
extras
yeah.
and watched all behind the scenes. The behind the scenes, well, the bloopers and takeouts are actually very annoying to watch because it was like they left the audio in for the actual blooper, but John Schneider tries to talk over it in the background, and it's like he's talking like that, and you can't hear what he's trying to tell you about the outtake that's funny. You just hear the outtake, and it's like, okay, kind of don't understand. Anyway, but they did, and he says to the guy, oh, yeah, and the guy goes, yeah, Ford Crown Vic. And then I looked online and went, is that a real thing? And sure enough, online it says, how to turn a Ford Crown Vic into a General Lee Charger.
Yeah.
69
I
Charger.
think, if I remember correctly, I think they use the A-pillars too.
Probably.
Like,
yeah,
I think they use like almost the entire windshield assembly, and you cut it after the windshield
Oh,
to add
really?
the Charger roof.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'll have to go back and watch the video, or just if you're listening to this, just Google it.
Yep.
But anyway, I
Yeah.
have a lot more notes here.
All right, let's hear them.
The next one, driving green screen shots are so bad.
Oh, my gosh.
Here's the thing that I'm wondering. They had all these shots of the General Lee ripping around this farm, which I assume is probably John Schneider's real farm.
It is because he has a thing called John Schneider Studios, and that's where he
Okay.
does all this stuff. So, yes.
Why couldn't you have just filmed the driving shots on that property?
Yeah, you could have totally.
You would have had real background.
Yeah,
It would have
you
looked 100%
Yep.
real because it is real.
Yep.
And then the driving shots, the green screened in background was way too fast.
Yeah.
For what they were driving, because
Yeah.
he was like on like a country road or something, and the
exactly.
background makes it look like he's doing 90.
Yes. And they actually, if you watch the extras in the DVD, they show them testing out the green screen, and you see them, in the car just sitting there with the green screen. You see the green screen added, and they're literally doing it like it would be like if you or I, without any special equipment, was trying to do exactly the same thing. It was really like
I was waiting for you to say they
Wow.
did like what the movie The Room did, where they like put a green screen on the outside of the window and then actually drove down the road. Like, I was waiting for you to say that they did something dumb like that.
Well, well, it's actually they did a bunch of stuff that I was like, wait a minute, why didn't, like you said,
You could have
why
just done
didn't you
that
just
practically
didn't-
for probably way less effort.
right, why didn't you just do that practically, and why didn't you, because they talked about, they actually in this movie used GoPros, and they talked about
You
it.
could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell.
You could tell. I'm
Dealing
sure.
with one
Yeah.
every single day, I always point out GoPro shots in cinema.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like it's
and you know
it's
it.
my curse.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but you know it. And so they did GoPro shots, in car and stuff like that. But truly, they could have done this. They could have done these things without green screen. They did not need green screen.
Right.
I don't understand why they did the green screen. And it made it look so bad
Right.
that it was hilariously funny.
It took me out of the movie.
It dump.
Well,
you
yeah.
were so
Oh,
caught
yeah.
up. You were caught up in the drama,
Which I
and
do
the-
have more
Yep.
notes
okay.
on
Okay.
that.
Go ahead.
The next one I wrote down, coloring on the phone shots.
Yeah.
So there was a couple times where he was talking to people on
Yes.
the phone.
Yes.
It happens a couple times. I'm not thinking one specifically, but the color differences, the coloring of this movie is
Yes.
so off because
Yes.
he would be like super saturated and have the clarity dragged all the way up. And then the
Yeah.
person he's talking to on the phone, it would be like a completely cool shot, like
Right.
super fuzzy.
Right.
Like, and I'm not thinking of a specific scene, but every time the color differences and shading was so dramatically different, I have to assume it was shot with different cameras.
Oh, it was
different kinds
Yeah.
of camera. Like one was shot with a DSLR, one was shot with an iPhone 3GS, one of them was
Yeah.
on a Nokia. Like
Right.
I don't know.
It was, if you watch the behind the scenes again, you'll see that they used one major camera, which I've never seen this camera before. It was a neat looking camera, and it looks very
It's a
professional.
blue
and everything.
camera. They couldn't
It's
afford a
It's
red.
a
so
red.
it's the
It was a blue. It was an
Yeah.
off magenta.
Yeah.
No, they had a couple different cameras. They had a drone. They had all sorts of stuff going on. But that is the job of a colorist. Once you actually have all of your film in the can, and you're close to your final cut, you've got your rough cut, you usually have someone who goes in and they go scene by scene, and they adjust the color throughout for scene
to keep visual consistency,
yes.
because it can really throw
yes.
someone off. And this is
yes.
actually something
exactly.
I don't deal with on a major scale, but with lighting and stuff, I try to make the car, when I review it, look the same color in all of my shots, which can sometimes be hard with shadows and lighting and all that stuff. And I went and watched some of John Schneider's YouTube videos, and he had like a little commercial thing for Christmas cars.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, the movie's off in coloring now. We should get it back soon. And
well,
I was like, it went to coloring? It went to coloring?
It went.
My God. Was it like,
wow.
it was probably in the time it took him to make that movie, or in the YouTube video.
Right.
He's probably like, oh, well, we just sent it off to coloring. Oh, it's back from coloring. All right.
Looks good to me.
So, yeah, that really threw me off.
About that time, old Jesse was doing the coloring of the movie.
Basically.
Yeah.
So next up, I wrote in quotes, for you youngsters, that's John Wayne. We're in the movie theater scene right now where the kid's talking about him going viral.
Right.
So and the John Schneider makes a John Wayne reference, and the narrator comes in and says, for you youngsters, that's John Wayne.
Yeah.
Don't explain references as the narrator. That's on par with explaining the joke after you say it.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's funny because of this. Shut up. If you didn't get the reference, you don't get the reference and it's fine.
Yeah,
and then you'll grow up and you'll see John Wayne, and then if I ever watch this movie again, if I was ever in a prison camp, then
wow.
I would be like, oh, that's a John Wayne reference. Now I get to enjoy that part of the movie a little bit better.
So here's the thing, too. That narrator, they used to use the narrator in the TV show like that, like explaining things, like constantly explaining things.
Oh, so maybe I need to see the original Dukes of Hazzard.
So, again, it really tried to be a Dukes of Hazzard episode and just a full movie that was like but that was that was so annoying. That announcer would do things like that and would say things like, kids.
Now that makes more sense, but hey, guy, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that really bothered me.
So I'll let you finish everything because I have something in my head too.
But next,
you finish.
And I wrote this in all caps.
Yep.
They're having a conversation in a movie theater. There's a maybe 5 to 10 minute scene where John's like, what does going viral mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, which he always makes the joke. He's like, Facegram and Instatalk or whatever he was saying. He kept whatever. There's a whole scene where he's explaining that this one kid posted a picture of his General Lee for the 40th anniversary, and it went viral. It got like 1 million views.
Yeah.
And John Schneider, being an older guy, is like, what does that mean to go viral, blah, blah, blah. They're having an open conversation. And you notice there's people in the movie theater, and they're watching the movie.
Fully, like, okay. So,
it's not like, hey,
right,
John,
right.
you
It's
went
not
viral.
John,
it's like, hey, you went viral. Look at this. It's
right.
like, if I was in that movie theater, I would have kicked them in the back of the head. They were having a full-fledged conversation throughout the entire...
And rightfully so. You would have... In fact, the other people in the audience would have cheered you for kicking.
It was bothering me so bad. I'm like, why would you have this talking portion?
Yeah, why would you?
Why wouldn't you be walking out of the theater and then be like, hey, John, look at this. You went viral. Oh, in the parking lot. What? There was no importance of them being in a movie theater.
No, it was very awkward. And then they went to an arcade to make a phone call, which was really noisy. It was like, what are you...
I got to make this phone call. Let me get around 1,000 90s machines going bleep, bloop, 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 beep, beep, beep. If I picked up that phone and be like, oh, what's up? John,
hey,
where the heck are you? Can you step outside for a second?
I can't hear you. What's going on? Yeah. I would have been exactly the same way. It was so annoying. The locations were probably the most annoying thing. Continue your notes because I got a bunch more too. So, yeah.
Next up, this was an interesting observation I made.
Yeah.
Where here in 2021, Southern charm doesn't really work anymore. Like, I get it, like, back in the 70s, like, oh, they're just the Duke boys, you know, they raise a little hell. But now, like, I just felt like all the characters were dumb.
Yeah.
I just felt like the Southern charm was very off-putting, very dishonest.
Yeah, it was.
And I guess it was mixed in with poor acting. But, like, the Southern hospitality is just dumb these days. You just come off as stupid.
Well, in this movie, it was. So I truly believe, I mean, I love people from the South, don't get me wrong, but in this movie, they portrayed people from the South very poorly. There is great true Southern hospitality that still exists, but in this movie that was so poorly acted and it was so overdone, it was so overacted that you were just like, okay, that's just stupid.
It seemed fake. It seemed dishonest.
Exactly.
And, like, I just don't think the Southern charm is the way to go anymore.
Yeah.
As where in the 70s, it was like, oh, they're just the good old boys. Now it's like, no.
Yeah.
You just don't seem honest now. So that really bothered me.
Yeah, you don't seem to get it. Okay.
Next up, the Papa John's guy. Out of all of the pizza places to pick, Papa frickin' John's. When I saw that it was Papa John's product placement, I lost all respect for the movie. It was out the window. You know why Papa John's is so bad, right?
No, why?
Do you know who Papa John is, the guy who started it?
No.
He's lost his mind.
Really?
So the Papa John's guy was...
Do you have notes on
I have notes
that?
on Papa John.
Okay.
Because, to be fair, Papa John isn't in the movie.
They were one of the sponsors, by the way.
Right, I know, because he's wearing full Papa John stuff, and he's the pizza
and
guy.
It says at the end, and he's got this Papa John's head. Okay, yeah. So there is a guy who delivers them pizzas. He was jammed into the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Jammed into this for no reason. He's delivering them pizzas while they're working on signing the cars. So go ahead.
So Papa John was on a conference call. The guy who owned Papa John's, started Papa John's, whatever.
Yeah.
And he is quoted as saying the N-word a couple of times.
No. On the phone?
On a conference phone call with other business
cool.
associates. So he basically got canceled for that, whatever.
Yeah. Well, he should be.
And then he came out to the press and said, you know, he apologized for using the N-word, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he said that he's working on getting it out of his vocabulary over the next 3 months.
Whoa!
So he said publicly that it's such a normal thing for him that he has to work on getting it out of his vocabulary over 3 months.
That's a rough thing.
If someone told me they didn't like a word, it's out of my vocabulary that night.
Yeah.
I don't have to, you know? So
I'll work on getting the word donuts out of my vocabulary.
Right. So then he steps down from Papa John's. After that, he stepped down.
He did?
He's no longer the CEO.
Yeah, okay.
And then he publicly said afterwards that he believes in the product so much that he was going to eat 40 pizzas in 30 days from Papa John's.
40 pizzas in 30 days.
I don't know if he ended up doing that. But
he may have passed away by doing that.
He also came out and said that he has sampled over 800 Papa John's pizzas in the last year, and some were burnt. He wasn't happy with the quality of them.
Wow. Okay.
I think there was allegations
shout out
that
to Papa John's.
There was allegations that he was dyeing his hair like jet black, and right before COVID started.
Yeah.
He waged a war on cancel culture because he was canceled for a very obvious real reason.
Yeah.
And he said that there would be a day of reckoning, and then COVID started. So people believe that Papa John's might have...
Well, I think Papa John's is responsible for the entire COVID.
They might have engineered COVID.
I think so. So
the fact that Papa John's was shoehorned into the movie, I was like, I lost all respect.
Wow.
Of course it had to be that frickin' pizza. It couldn't have been Domino's. It couldn't have been Little Caesars. It had to be the most problematic pizzeria in America and probably the world.
Yes. You are correct. And,
I couldn't believe that.
It's so funny that you brought that up because, yes, absolutely. That was one of mine, too. That character, that pizza guy, holy cow. I just, I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about this whole movie, but, go ahead.
Next up.
All right, here we go.
I said, defending the flag too, ? Symbols don't hurt people. So
That's right.
That's a quote from the movie.
Yeah, to have any symbol you want.
If you're unfamiliar, the General Lee has the Confederate flag on the roof.
Yes.
And in recent years, that has become problematic because the Confederate flag, if you're not from America, basically we had a civil war 200 years ago. The Confederate flag was the, I almost said Southern team.
So pretty much,
basically the South came
pretty
together
much
to form
so.
the Confederacy.
Yep.
That was their flag, and they were. The Civil War was for a bunch of different reasons, but one of the main ones was over the right for slavery.
Yeah, one of the ones. Yeah, one of the reasons.
Yeah, that's kind of what it ended up being.
Yeah,
so basically, a lot of people associate the Confederate flag with slavery because that was the team who was fighting to keep slavery.
Right.
Rightfully so. And so in the
I mean, slavery is not rightfully so. I mean,
no. That
make
people
sure
associate the two.
Yeah, that they associate it. That's rightfully so.
And
the two
not to
things,
mention, if you're unfamiliar, the South lost the Civil War.
Yeah.
The
Right.
North won.
Right.
The Union. Anyway, the General Lee from the old show had the Confederate flag on the roof because
Right.
Southerners, for some dumb reason, they're like, "Oh, it's my heritage. It's your heritage of
Well,
owning slaves." But yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, American flag is your heritage.
Right,
That's
the American flag. But anyway, people in the South,
Yeah.
for some reason, have a weird connection to the Confederate flag. It's like waving a Nazi flag in front of your house and being like, "Well, we are German. Our
Right.
family
We
is
are
German."
So that is
So
true.
I
Like,
think we should hang a giant Nazi flag, and when people
swastika.
question it,
Yeah.
say, "Oh, it's my heritage."
And I'd say, hey, that is my. A symbol never hurt anyone. That's what we
So
could
there's
say.
a whole point of this movie to defend the fact that
Yeah.
symbols don't hurt people. Why are people throwing a big tiff about the Confederate flag on top of the General Lee? And to a point, I understand that it's historically accurate to the car.
Yeah, to the car.
The
Yes.
original car had the Confederate flag.
Yes, it did.
However,
Yeah.
why can't you just do like a red X on the roof or something that's vaguely familiar? You know what I mean?
That actually would have been a brilliant choice. That to
Take out
actually-
the stars from it.
Right.
Maybe, or just switch it to the American flag.
Right. Oh,
or
there
something.
you go. Actually, that would have been really cool. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you want to, switch it to
Yeah.
the American flag from the 1800s with the circle of 13 stars instead of the 50 stars.
Yeah, there
that
you go.
would be
like
really
that.
cool.
That'd actually be really
That's
cool.
your heritage.
Or the French flag. That's red, white, and blue.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this was filmed in Louisiana.
Right,
The French
the bayou.
owned Louisiana
Yeah,
until the
that's
Louisiana
right,
Purchase.
The French
so
Quarter. You're talking
that's your
about
real
they-
heritage
boom.
there.
We fixed it.
So
We fixed another thing. It's
so in
amazing
the movie,
how
they
much
try
we
to
fixed.
defend the Confederate flag, and it's cringy.
It is
Be-
cringy, very
it's super
cringy.
cringy because
Very
they're like,
cringy.
"Oh, it's our heritage." Anyone who tries to defend that flag as heritage
Yeah.
needs to shut up.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a historical document or a historical recreation, I could see the use of the Confederate flag.
Right.
And I don't think it should be washed out of history. I think it's
No.
an important piece of history.
Right.
It's just why in 2021 would you fly that in front of your house? Why in 2021 would you show that off?
Right. Yeah.
You're basically showing off the losing flag.
Right.
Like that.
Well,
that's the other thing is that the South lost.
I mean, that would be like having a Cubs flag, a
Oh.
Chicago Cubs flag.
unless it's 2016. Yeah, it's like being a
I'm
Bears
kidding.
fan in
I'm
2021.
kidding. It's fine. It's just a joke.
But yeah,
yeah.
it's just it's not only just like insensitive to people.
Yeah.
Because people were oppressed by that flag, but just like you just come off as dumb because that's the losing team.
Yeah, and that whole thing was just. And you know, for and this is in real life. I remember when that controversy actually came out, and they were talking about the General Lee, and they were talking about the flag on top of the car. And I'm absolutely. This is the honest truth. It wasn't even a week, and I went to the store. And they had a model car of the General Lee without the flag on the top of it.
Was that because I was going to say, was that when we went to the Peterson Auto Museum?
No,
Oh,
this was
interesting.
earlier.
Okay.
This is earlier. But when I went, because I actually saw it was like you know those slot cars. They used to have slot cars, and there was a slot car Dukes of Hazzard set, and it did not have the flag on top of the car. It was
when we went
amazing.
to the Peterson
So
Museum in
quick that they took that out,
2018,
yeah.
we went to the gift shop and they
Yeah.
had a General Lee and the
Yes.
flag was removed.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So honestly,
It,
I don't have a perfect answer. Maybe
Yeah.
replace it with the American flag. Maybe the General Lee deserves it because it was part of. But like in 2021, you shouldn't be defending it.
Well, I think that was the thing, is that if you wouldn't have, I don't know, maybe if you wouldn't have brought that up, or maybe if you
just say, hey, it's part of the car.
Yeah.
Or not double down and saying that symbols don't hurt people.
Right.
Have we forgotten about the swastika?
Right. Well,
have we forgotten about the middle finger to people?
Right.
Have we forgotten about I mean, like, I
mean,
don't know.
there's so
there's
many
other
things
hills
that,
to die on than a 200-year-old loser's flag.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is something where that made it so cringy. Like, like you said, why are you sticking the hill, your flag on the hill, on that hill? Because there's so many other things that you could be. Hey, how about things like let's end hunger, let's have equality for everyone.
Yeah.
Let's all these things in life that you could like really stick up for. Let's end cancer. Let's
or even in the movie. So the cars got bulldozed anyway.
Right.
Why don't you just focus on that? Why'd you have to have a whole 25, 30 minutes about the flag?
Right.
Why not just have someone get mad that you're selling
Exactly,
and bulldoze them and then
right.
go, oh, no.
Oh, no. Right, exactly. You didn't have to have that whole thing about the flag. And, of course, because that was a big part of John Schneider's life, was, the Dukes of Hazzard and the Confederate flag and the General Lee.
He did say in a YouTube video I watched last night, he said that he gets asked all the time what he thinks of the flag on top of the General Lee.
Oh, yeah?
And he said, you will get my exact feelings in this movie, Christmas Cars, coming out.
Oh, okay,
and
well.
His feelings are he believes in the flag.
Yeah.
But then again, he ends up bowing and taking the flag off in one way or another.
Well, he does, but he also mentions it, and he does it twice, where they mention in the movie, it's not cool to tell people what to think, but to give them options. And it's like, well, but okay, I guess, but I don't know. It's very, very preachy and very much like.
Next, I have why would the bank want him to fail? Who cares who ends up paying? Because there's a point where the banker tries to basically tries to sabotage him.
Exactly.
I think he alerts the press that he's selling these cars with Confederate flags on them, and that's whatever. And so what you said earlier, with the banker was going to make money off of this, which in real life would never happen.
That doesn't work that way.
The bank doesn't care who pays them or how you got the money. They just want to get paid.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, how in the world does that happen? Like, how in the world in their brain does the banker make money from selling that land? It doesn't have it's very difficult to try and figure out this whole schema of how this works, where the banker would actually make money in his pocket from that sale. If he was a real estate agent, he probably would.
Yeah, because you make commission, and that's a big
commissions,
part of your paycheck.
And it would be, the more you make, the more you sell it for you, the more you would put in your pocket. But yeah, go ahead.
Next up, I said the brake lines were cut, but the car was still accelerating.
Yeah.
So he very easily could have, when he noticed that the brake lines were cut, just kind of like driven around in circles with his foot off the gas, and it would have naturally come to a stop because of resistance of the road.
Absolutely.
But as you hear it going through the barn, you hear it shifting. It's like,
oh, like really? I didn't even think about that.
You hear it physically accelerating.
Yeah, good. I'm glad he's accelerating.
Yeah.
Got no brakes, but gonna accelerate.
Which was so dumb.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yee-haw, yee-hee, whatever.
I thought when he did go under the tree and it cut the roof off the top of the car, I thought that was a creative fix for the flag issue.
It was.
It was creative, and that's my one positive of this movie, is the fact that I would say at least that was a creative way of getting around that, instead of like scratching them out or taking the flag off, which shouldn't have been an issue in the first place anyway. It just didn't even need to be in it. But the way that they fixed it with the viral video, blah, 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 at least was creative. So I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Something I noticed throughout the whole movie is that the John Schneider's character was oddly self-promoting as well as self-deprecating at the same time.
Yep.
because he like tries to like show off parts.
Yep.
And say that he's this good old boy and stuff.
Right, exactly.
But then at the same time, he's like, I have no money. I've mismanaged this farm.
Exactly.
My wife is dead.
Yep.
Like, it's like, oh, it's just one thing after another. And even the narrator is like, every man is stretched to his limits, and this is John's or whatever.
Yeah, which is like a really weird thing for him to be the writer and creator and all that.
It's
of
a
this
weird
movie
dichotomy.
It is.
He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
Also, he's very broke. And he might not make it. But he's super cool. He's very good. He's a smooth
Everyone
talker.
loves him. He's a movie star, and he's broke. And he's no.
And like 3 times throughout the film, you think like, oh, that's it. It's over. When he loses the auction of the property, oh, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
When the cars get crushed, it's over.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't want to root for this character. I mean, honestly, I was very indifferent to the outcome.
I was indifferent too, and that's a good way to put it. It wasn't like I wanted to see anything bad. It was just I was indifferent. I was like, well, I don't care if he really does this or not.
I love that quote of the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference.
Yeah, it's true.
If
that's
you really
true.
hate something, there's still a passion behind it.
There is,
and a driving force. But indifference is just like,
that is true. That's
the worst thing you could be to a person.
It is, and indifference is absolutely that's like the worst thing.
Yeah,
absolutely is.
So the last one I wrote down was. While the banker was driving, I noticed in his green screen shot, he was. I don't know what he drove.
I don't know.
But it had a column shifter that
did.
was up in park while he was driving miraculously, and
the car was in park while he was driving,
and there were no keys in the ignition. You can clearly see the key barrel, and there are no keys in the ignition. Which, to be fair, we know that our pickup truck would run without keys.
It is true. And I drove that truck without keys once.
Right.
So yeah,
but
that's true.
That just threw me out of the movie so much where you can't drive it while it's in park.
Well, the gear shift lever on the truck did kind of slip a lot.
Never all the way up to park though.
I
mean, I know you're trying to do this movie justice.
Right. No, that is funny that you that you saw that. I'm amazed that
the shifter was all the way because it was a column shifter. It was very visible when he's driving. Yeah. The shot is from the passenger seat looking at the driver's seat, and there's no key in the ignition, and it's all the way up. I have to imagine it's like a Cadillac or Impala or some GM
Yeah, it was
product
probably like a big old Cadillac or something. Yeah,
but that really took me out of the movie.
All right.
One more thing.
Okay.
I wanted to note here, and it's not a note I took during the movie.
Okay.
But I ended up looking online, and I was like,
like,
you know what? It would kind of be fun to get you a General Lee for Christmas or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is today, Merry Christmas. But
Merry Christmas. Thanks.
I looked online.
I didn't get it.
Well, yeah. You want to know why you didn't get it?
Why?
Guess how much the cheapest one on eBay I found was.
The General Lee?
1/18 scale General Lee.
Oh, that's like the larger.
1/18 is
right?
like pretty much the biggest, most die-cast gun.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, how much is it? It's
the cheapest.
The cheapest. Let me guess. The cheapest, like $25.
$124.
What?
I could not find die-casts of the General Lee.
What does it have the flag on top?
It does.
It does.
It does.
So wow.
I wonder if you can't find the flag ones anymore. I didn't. Look.
Maybe.
But then I hit price highest on eBay.
Yeah.
There's one currently listed. It is a golden George Barris General Lee muscle car diecast.
George Barris.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the senile old man, rest his soul, but God, it's a golden General Lee that is currently listed.
Oh yeah.
For $10,590.
Wow.
It is a 1/18 scale golden. I wonder.
Wow.
It might be signed. I don't know.
So you're saying
it has the flag.
You're saying I'm not worth $10,000.
No, for a General Lee diecast, absolutely not. The next one down, to be fair, is $2,500.
Okay,
and then $1,800, which they're all autographed, which is why they're.
And that's fine.
But that's why in the movie I was like, who would want to buy these? I guess there's a market for autographed Dukes of Hazzard memorabilia.
Yeah, and of course that was how this entire movie was based around autographed Dukes of Hazzard memorabilia. The picture of him, The General Lee he signs with a white ink marker on the top, which is really awful because you can't read it. Because he says, "Oh, I'll sign it with white ink, and you'll see it from a mile away." It's like, no, that doesn't work that way. In fact, when you scribble over the flag, it just looks like a scribble. You should sign the trunk or the hood or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting he was
and
signing.
And if you're George Barris, you sign everything, even if it's your car or not.
We've talked about it in the past. George Barris. Yeah. There's a car museum called the Volo Auto Museum,
which is awesome. Shout out to Volo.
Yeah, and he just went around and signed.
And shout out to Paul Shin.
Shout out to Paul Shin. Shout out to Craig Lieberman.
Yeah. Okay, this is probably the latest we've ever done so
latest
far.
Hour in. My God.
Yeah.
But yeah, George Barris went around and just signed all these cars that he had nothing to do with, which very George Barris move.
Right. Well, whatever.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting that they are kind of expensive to buy, and there is. But again, that goes back to this like. This movie should have been like, how many ways can we resell these terrible toy cars?
Yeah.
Because then, like, at the end of the day, if mine was if I got mine, it didn't have a roof and it was smashed, and I paid $50 for it, I'd be like, guys, what the heck? Like, that. Yeah. It was a far reach in the movie where they were just like, oh, we can just sell it as this. And it's like,
right.
Are you just saying that you'll just spoon feed shit to your fans? I mean, that's like, didn't it kind of have that overtone of like, your fans will buy anything.
They'll buy anything.
They'll buy a crushed version of this toy car with the wheels missing.
Right. They will buy a wrapped up ball of tinfoil that's orange.
Right.
Because, you say it's the General Lee.
As long as you sign it, because your autograph is
awesome.
gold.
Yeah, it really felt like, you're right. It felt like, we literally could do anything, and these people are going to buy these cars. And the funny thing is at the beginning, he talks about buying the cars and maybe trying to sell them, and he doesn't really have a grasp. I know what he's trying to say, that he doesn't have a grasp on how to sell these cars online. I get that. Then he has these kids out of nowhere who, I mean, I'm sure they're all very sweet, nice people, but they're not good actors.
Yeah.
And they can't deliver lines, which, by the way, I'll get into that in a minute, about the lines.
Yeah.
And how poorly written the lines were. But yeah, so they can't deliver them. You don't believe any of them. Their acting is so bad, you have no clue. I mean, it's like, kids that were friends from the neighborhood came over and helped with the movie.
Which also, what was that part of? He teaches shop class at a local high school, and then they never mentioned it ever again. There's something John loves. It's loves cars and kids. And I'm like, dude, you can't say that in 2021.
No, I know.
I mean, they did not consult anyone. You can't say the 60-year-old guy loves kids. Probably 70. I don't even know how old John.
I
keep wanting to call him John Denver.
I know, me too.
Country Roads Take Me Home.
So Rob Schneider and John
Denver came together.
And he called himself Denver in this movie. So
right, that's what I'm saying. That's why.
So, and here's the thing. You're absolutely right. If there's one thing this old man likes, is hanging around school kids.
I'm also laying down like I'm on a therapist couch now, because that's what I feel.
Fine.
Like.
After all of this, you've been through
it's been a
trauma.
Long year.
It's been a long year. It's been a lot of trauma. Christmas. Yes, and I hope that by the way, I hope you're enjoying your Christmas.
You're sitting next to a fire.
Yeah, I hope
next
it's
to a tree.
Opening some gifts.
Unless you're Jewish. I hope happy Saturday.
Well, wait. So this comes out on Sunday, which is
Saturday.
Christmas.
Today is Christmas.
Saturday?
Yeah. Christmas is on a Saturday.
I thought it was Sunday. Oh. Never mind. Okay, whatever day it is, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so a couple other things though that I wanted to mention about. I mean, I have so much to talk about. This what?
I said I know. Go for it.
All right. I thought you said not now, and I was like, okay, when? If not in this podcast right now.
No, I want you to personally tell me these, and no one else. Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone. Shh.
Yeah.
So part of it was, so evidently this character, John Schneider or Denver, Uncle Denver, whoever it was, just from time to time will jump into his car, drive around his property like a maniac, jump the car over other cars.
Talk about
for
schizophrenia.
Fun, just for fun, okay?
Bipolar, really.
Yeah, well, I guess. But then, and every time, this is the funniest thing. Every time I see a General Lee jump, you always watch them land, and they're always like, you watch the frame just buckle, and you're like, okay, that car's not gonna just keep running,
right?
And then they cut to a perfectly good car,
and
it drives up.
Okay.
So you want me to suspend my belief in the fact that you just drive around, and I got a ramp. He literally has a ramp set up in his backyard, to jump cars with the General Lee anytime he wants, and then he decides, well, I'm having a bad day, so I'm going to jump in the car and drive. Yeah, that makes me feel good. I need a good drive in the car. And then he decides to go into town in a white, rusted-out pickup truck. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know what it was.
Goes into town, I think, whatever. And he goes into town, and he gets pulled over by the police, or he thinks. So there's a guy driving behind him. Now, this guy...
I forgot about this scene.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that guy is.
Well, that guy actually was his stunt driver for the movies. For the show, the TV show. And actually, John Snyder, the real person, knows this stunt driver, and they've been good friends even before the show, back in 1980. So, so what happens is, his friend, the stunt driver, is driving a police car with lights and sirens going, okay? Pulls over John Schneider in the pickup truck and literally drives up next to him and says, hey, how you doing? And he goes, oh, what are you driving that car for? And he goes, well, the sheriff impounded my car, so I figured I'd take his. Okay, that's Grand Theft Auto and lots of...
Felony.
Right? That's like...
You like voting? Not anymore.
Exactly.
You're good old boys.
Exactly. You can't steal a police car. You can't steal a car, period. But you can't steal a police car.
Yeah.
And if he impounded your vehicle, what the... There's so many unanswered questions.
I'm drunk and he took my car, so I
took his. And then, to top it off, let's race.
Yeah, they drag race.
So they drag race.
Which, by the way, I believe the police car is a Charger.
I think it is,
against a rusted-out, 60s
like an
pickup
old
truck.
Yeah. So you have the two, and he says, John Schneider says, yeah, we never did figure out whatever.
I think it was who's faster,
who's
right?
faster, whatever. So
I
obviously,
I thought it was whoever played Luke in the original.
Oh.
Or something, because then I'm like, I was like, maybe there was a Dukes of Hazzard episode where they debate who drives the General Lee
and he
faster.
never talks about Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Never talks about him, the guy, the character. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know.
Gooks.
I don't know. So
you get your thoughts out. I'm going to get on the Gooks.
So I'm going to. So they have this race. Now this race goes through town. It has no purpose whatsoever. The characters are mugging to the camera, basically, as they're driving around. And it says, and they say to the camera, well, this is where I lose him. And then the other guy says, well, this is where I lose him. Almost like they can hear each other. And they're driving back and forth. And you see them, you cut back and forth. There's not really a clear winner. There's no purpose for the race whatsoever, but just to shoehorn in John Schneider's friend, who was the stunt car driver, which he's a cool guy, but it was a way to just jam him into the movie. Plus the fact that John Schneider writes out his wife. John Schneider, I believe, has a wife, and I think her name is Andrea. I'm not sure. Well, and he writes her out, and creates a wife named Maudlin or Madeline or whatever, and kills her. She's in a cemetery in his property.
In real life, she had cancer.
Who did?
His wife.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She beat it. Because I looked it up. She ended up beating cancer.
Okay.
But in the movie,
he kills her, right? So then he can date this hot chick that he throws into the movie just for eye candy. And instead of having, just like the Dukes of Hazzard, instead of having the Catherine Bach be the Daisy Duke, which that was always weird because isn't that their cousin or something? I don't know, whatever.
I thought so, but yeah.
So, and the Daisy Duke and the Daisy Duke shorts, that's where Daisy Duke shorts come from, is that show, and Daisy Duke. And he throws this girl in there just for eye candy and just to be the love interest. But in real life, and he's trying to be this is really how his life is going, but then, so is he saying he wants to dump his wife for this hot chick. I mean, it's like, and I didn't understand. And she's supposed to be a school teacher, and then there's a very awkward scene where they're talking when she first sees him, and like she's like, "Oh, I like to go to the movies," and then that's before the whole big thing where they talk the entire time that they're in the movies. I mean. The, scene after scene after scene, I could sit through this and just like cringe on every single scene. Did you find out?
Yeah, sorry. So I did find out. He is still alive.
He is?
Played by Tom Wopat.
Yeah, Tom Wopat. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
Still alive. Born in Lodi, Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin.
Which I have a friend who
Just
has a
a
lake
good
house
old
in
boy.
Lodi County, Wisconsin on
Never
Lake Wisconsin.
meaning no.
God. Are you done?
I don't have a harmonica.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Born in Lodi, Wisconsin, which I've been to many a times.
Have you?
I'm very
Have
familiar
you?
with Lodi,
Okay.
Wisconsin. Had a friend with a lake house there.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time
All
out on
right.
Lake Wisconsin. He was also in. You're never gonna guess what he's second best known for.
Star Trek Troopers.
Star Trek Troopers.
Starship Troopers. No.
Django Unchained.
What? What?
He plays a U.S. Marshal in Django Unchained, the
Wow.
2012 film.
Wow.
By
okay.
Quentin
I give him lots of props then.
He seems,
Yeah.
he seems like a decent guy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anyway, still alive.
Yeah. So okay, well that's good to know. But he never is met. John Schneider never mentions him, and I don't know if anyone ever like talks to him and says, "Hey, John Schneider, you're all about the Dukes of Hazzard and the General Lee and blah blah blah. How's Tom Wopat doing?" I mean,
he's also a singer-songwriter now and guitarist.
John Schneider or Tom
No,
Wopat?
Tom
Well,
Wopat. Well,
they
John
both
Schneider
are.
is too.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm saying is that John Schneider, like, he actually has a song that I guess he wrote in this movie. And then they put in there too. So if you watch, the funniest thing though about the dialogue is that he writes. Excuse me, I didn't mean to like cough in your ear, but John Schneider wrote the movie. He wrote very, very poor dialogue. And if you watch behind the scenes, you hear the actors actually say, I can't say these lines. They're too difficult to say. That they don't make any sense. They're too difficult. I can't say these. And when your actors tell you that, there's an issue, usually. Yeah. So he says to them, it's all right, just do it. Just read them. Just read them. And he constantly forces these people to read the lines exactly as he wrote them. And any actor would say, well, how about if I said it this way? And I think one of the actors does actually mention that.
And then immediately got shot by John Schneider.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It was like, no, you're going to say them exactly this way. The tongue twisters, there's a really,
The last thing that actor heard was and then their life ended.
And then a harmonica and, oh, about them Duke boys.
Someone mumbling.
Yeah, someone mumbling about what just happened to the actor. No, basically, when your actors tell you things, and I've actually had an actor tell me when I was writing, this was not a movie script, but it was a voiceover, and they said, this is really hard to read. This doesn't sound like a person would normally say this. And I was like, okay, well then how would you do this? Well, let's figure this out. Because writing dialogue properly is really tough. I mean, it is an art, and it is not just something you just write it down and just do it. You literally, I mean, there's lots and lots of nuances to doing and writing good dialogue, and for actors to then give them something to really work with. I mean, your poor actors are forced to say these crappy lines.
Yeah.
And it's really, really awful. So I felt bad for the actors. I felt bad for everyone in the show. I felt bad for anyone watching the movie. I felt bad for every
it was a hard watch.
It was hard.
I don't know.
It was difficult to watch.
To a point, I understand John Schneider. He loves the source material, and it's definitely cool to see an actor so in love with source material after so many years, and really embrace the character and embrace what the fans have come to know and love about the
Yes.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
I think it's cool that he restores General Lee's.
Yes,
he did a
he does.
video,
That's cool. That is cool.
about how to spot not a fake General Lee, because obviously they're all fake, but
Right.
like inconsistencies. He
Yes.
talks about different chrome pieces.
Yes.
And how some people use a 68 Charger.
Yes.
And I believe that has a different rear indicator or something.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned this before too about the interior, the color of the interior. I think.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
he said that none of the General Lees had black interiors.
Right, they were all
all
tan.
tan
Yeah.
interior, which is interesting.
Which is a very Howie Mandela effect.
yeah,
trademark
I always picture the General Lee.
2021.
Yeah, I always picture
Howie
the General
Mandela.
Lee with a black interior.
Yes, always. I always picture it with a black interior.
Yeah.
Always, 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 and I don't know why. I think the very first one, I think the actual movie, there was a Dukes of Hazzard movie, and that I believe
There
had
were a couple.
yeah, there
I
might
think
have been.
that should definitely be on our list, is to watch
Yeah.
the actual movies.
The actual
then we can go into depth into the
yeah,
General Lee.
yeah. I mean, there was.
We need a few months off.
We
but
do.
we'll
We
get to
need. We need maybe a year.
it. Yeah.
To cleanse our palate of
Yeah.
this movie, but there was a lot. And the other thing too, I just want to say about the Dukes of Hazzard. One of the things that it took me forever to figure this out, but it is to the accolades to the writers of this, the creators of Dukes of Hazzard, because they took something that was very Americana, having the good old boys down in the South running around, and instead of using guns, they use bow and arrows because they're on parole, because they actually get out. They're in prison.
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
and
that.
the
Okay.
Dukes of Hazzard actually. Bo and Luke Duke get out of prison, and they're not allowed to carry a gun, so they can carry bows and arrows. So that's why they do that. They would carry a bow and arrow instead of guns.
Weird workaround of the
Well,
law.
it is. Yeah, exactly. So they do that, and if you watch the original movie, I think they explain that. But the other thing I thought about is the actual name, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
So it's Dukes, like put up your Dukes, like you're fighting Dukes of Hazzard, right? But it's also
okay.
Dukes, like Queen, Duchess, Duke of the Dukes of Hazzard, like royalty of Hazzard. So not only are they like the fighters of Hazzard and protectors, but they're also the Dukes, like royalty of Hazzard County. So
I always
really
thought
kind of
of
a
the
thing.
royalty version.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people people think of it different ways, but that is two different ways that you can think of that name. And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, what a great name for that movie. And again, the original writer, which to give props to, I don't know exactly who.
Yeah.
did
Which
that.
we'll definitely cover the Dukes of Hazzard in a full episode
Yeah.
some point in the future.
Yeah.
Just not right now.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it is obviously a very iconic car, truly made iconic by this series and
But
the
it's
movie.
also weird seeing the the Back to the Future DeLorean in a different movie. It's
Yeah,
weird to
that
see
was
it
weird.
outside of its universe, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. That's like just some random movie having the main character just in love with Ghostbusters and has a personal Ecto-1.
Well,
It's
but
kind of weird.
there is a movie like that. Did you ever watch Benchwarmers? In the movie,
He has
Benchwarmers,
Kit.
He has Kit. He has the Batmobile, the 69 or the 66 Batmobile. He has all those cars.
Part of the Rob Schneider universe. But because he's in that
so
movie.
yeah, you're right. We circle around to that, but yeah, Rob
But
Schneider, yes.
I feel more okay with that because that wasn't a
Yeah.
centerpiece of the movie. It was just
it wasn't.
and he had all that movie memorabilia.
He did at his house. So
Right.
his dad is like filthy rich, has all this money, has all these cars and movie
Yeah.
cars and movie memorabilia. Yeah, it's very cool, but I wish they actually, in that movie, I actually wish they would have played more to that idea of let's connect to that whole movie idea.
Yeah.
Movie memorabilia, whatever. They didn't seem to make that connection as far as I remember. But that's a different movie.
Yeah. Maybe we could do the Benchwarmers at one point. When we
could.
run out of movies
could.
to do,
Yeah.
we'll do that one.
All right, so we're at time.
Yeah, we're getting at time here.
Yeah. So it's Christmas, and the
Merry
snow is
Christmas,
falling,
yeah.
and the fireplace is going.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah.
I had
and
high
happy-
hopes for this movie.
I did too. I did too.
You know what? To be fair, I didn't even have high hopes. I had hopes. I had regular,
you had somewhat average hopes.
Daily. I had Toyota Camry hopes.
Wow,
for this movie.
Not Kia.
And not Kia Forte.
Kia Forte.
This is the Yugo of movies.
Wow.
This is Le Car. This is.
We were saying this made Lady Driver look like Ben-Hur. I mean, it was like a totally different.
Oh yeah.
I mean, really. Yeah.
Speaking of which, next week, actually on Friday, because Saturday is the beginning of the new year.
Yeah.
We will be doing a special episode. Probably not a full episode. We'll see how long it takes.
That's right. We did have to announce that. Yeah.
We're going to do a special episode. We're going to be doing the best, worst of 2021. We're going to be doing kind of a wrap-up show
that we
reviewed.
Yeah.
We're going to be wrapping up of all the movies. We're going to kind of recap the movies that we watched, do our own little Oscars award ceremony, and then we're going to start our 2-week sabbatical where we won't be posting.
So be sure to get your tuxes pressed.
Oh, yes.
And
for
make
this
sure that
online audio only.
Right. Make sure to buy your dress from Halston or whatever. Get your tux from Louis Vuitton. I don't know what it whatever.
And then with that being said, we'll cross into 2022.
Yeah.
We are taking the first 2 weeks of January off.
Yep.
Doing a little bit of team building, a little bit of website building, a little bit of behind-the-scenes work to refresh the show a little bit. Yeah. It's something that I've done in my personal career every year with shooting cars, with car reviews. I always take the first 2 weeks.
Well deserved, yeah.
Online, I take the 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
In all reality, I'm still working behind the scenes and just getting
True.
stuff ready. But it's easier to do some long-term projects off camera when there's no pressure of getting a video out.
Right.
And in all reality, we'll probably end up taking a lot of the Christmas time off, and that's sort of where the actual relaxation will come.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so we will not be posting the first 2 weeks of January. Gives you a break, at least from our voices. Especially, I post 5 videos a week on my personal YouTube channel. Yeah. So I figure, and all throughout December, I post every single day of the week, even Saturdays and Sundays. So it gives people a break from the storm that is my dumb voice and opinion.
No, it's all good.
So you'll get 2 weeks off in January. The long
there you go.
Way
so enjoy them while you can.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to check out Christmas Cars for some reason, it will be linked in the YouTube description below. If you're on Spotify, pull over and get on Google or something. I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah.
If you really want to see this movie, you can.
Why are you pulling over? It's Christmas Day. Enjoy your family.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're driving from the in-laws.
I know. If you're
like, I want to relax and listen to the Unnamed Movie Car podcast. Sorry, we could not deliver a relaxation pod this week.
No, you can listen to all the other ones though. And we've done a lot of fun ones.
We should do a podcast where we do NPR voices, where it's like, okay, today we talked about Bullet, the film. Yeah.
Be very quiet and relaxing. Yeah, there's nothing relaxing about us.
No.
Because I listen to actually these, and it's a lot of fun because I pick up little things here and there. And I do read when people do comments. I love comments in the video.
Yeah, we do read every comment. Yep. So we appreciate everyone. I said, next week we'll do a recap award ceremony for 2021, and then we will be on to the next year. So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.